Welcome back to another episode of the Live Your Yes Life podcast. Each week, we bring you channeled thoughts, discussion, and interviews on what it takes to go from wanting and wishing to actively living your yes life. You guys, I have a really special guest for you today. Her name is Miranda Werkheiser. And she has such a powerful story. I can't wait for you to hear it. We really went deep on what it took to go from being a teenage mom to going through all kinds of challenges to then stepping into this incredible life she's living now, her version of a yes life, where she is honestly manifesting all of these amazing things almost daily. I feel like she's the queen of manifesting without ever trying. And it's really about being in full alignment with who she is. She is someone who exudes confidence. She just is who she is unapologetically in this powerful way. And I have had the opportunity to witness her business just opening up and expanding and exploding. So get excited to meet Miranda Werkheiser, coach, energy healer, and hype woman. Before we jump into this interview, I do want to take a minute to tell you guys about something amazing that is coming up next week, or at least if you're listening to this episode the week that it goes live. So June 17th, 18th, and 19th, we are bringing you the self-doubt detox. This is the first time ever that we are doing this. It's a 3-day experience. We're live for 1 hour a day. There is an opportunity for you to upgrade if you want to do a second hour in the VIP coaching room with us. But I want to tell you that if you at least jump in for this 1 hour a day, you're going to see something amazing happen in your life. So let me tell you, the self-doubt detox is really incredible. And if you feel like you often find yourself settling for maybe less than what you want, or you feel like, you're kind of stuck at this place of like, good enough, like, yeah, I'm getting good enough results, but what I really want is this amazing lit up life. This is the place to be. And here's a great way to think about it. So the self-doubt detox is often, I like to compare it to doing a physical detox. So if you've ever done any type of a cleanse, you know that a cleanse will speed up the healing process, right? It removes toxins from your body. It removes things that are keeping you sluggish. The self-doubt detox is going to work the same way, except it's for your mind. You're going to notice that you release unhealthy thought patterns or things that you didn't even know were slowing you down, so that you can truly step into who you really are. You can claim what you want and feel like you're coming from this clear space to really create the life that you want to create. So consider, just devoting this 1 hour of day, giving yourself a gift. You'll have an opportunity to see what it really feels like to be coached by Kayla and I. And when we do these experiences or challenges like the self-doubt detox, it's not necessarily about come and learn as much as it will be, we're going to be giving you things to implement in your life in real time, so that as soon as day one, you're going to start to experience the results and the shifts of this. So I'm going to go ahead and link it below in the show notes. All you have to do is click the link and come and join us. Please do not miss the self-doubt detox. You will thank yourself so much for giving yourself this gift. Hi, Miranda. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Me too. I can't wait for everyone to get to connect with you. And I want to just jump right in. And I would love to start our conversation today by having you just share a little bit about you. Can you just tell the listeners, just to kick us off, like who you are, what you do, just a little, and then we'll get into some background stuff.
Yes. I actually always start it with I'm a lot. And I'm really proud of that and own it. However, a part of me, I am a Reiki master. I'm an energy healer. I'm a hype woman. I am a coach. I'm a mom. I'm a lover of life. I am just, my purpose in this world is to create connection, and where it all starts is connecting with ourselves. So I'm very passionate about supporting people. And I say people because I don't just work with women. I work with men. I work with children. I work with groups, just for them to connect with themselves more, because that's really where the magic is. And I always say that's like where you're your own magic ingredients in your life, like you're your best kept secret. So a little about me and a little bit about what I love to do and what I get to do in this life.
And you are such a bright light, such a beautiful soul. I'm just going to add that here as well. I would love to just talk a little bit about your journey. So I was reading your about page and I'm like, there's some things that you shared here that I don't know that I even really know or that we've really talked about. And I always, I'm always fascinated with where people have been, right, and what they've been through to get here. And so I was seeing like numerous challenges, right, in your early life that you've walked through, teenage motherhood, even so homelessness for a bit. Can you just tell us a little bit about your journey? Like, how did you get here? What came before this beautiful moment?
Yeah. I've been through a lot. And I will always say this, that being a single mom and being a mom, I mean, I had her a week before I graduated high school, is my kids actually grew up with me. Like, I feel like we grew up together, and they got me through a lot. I will say that it was tough, but they were, I just told them at their birthday party, I was like, I never had to do anything alone. I never had to walk by myself. They didn't know that they were my strength, but like that is probably one of the biggest ways. But we experienced a lot, and I was hyper independent. I was very, I can do this myself, which was great because you can give me anything and I'll find a solution. But it was like, back then, I mean, it was being in unhealthy relationships. It was, I mean, in very abusive relationships, sexually, mentally, physically abusive relationships, which, with men who just were unsafe for me, but I needed a safe place. I needed a place to live. I needed this, I needed that. Right. So it was a lot of knowing what I wanted to do and knowing what I deserved. I've never not had a vision of what I wanted my life to be. And I think that really always kept me going, that even amidst like the crazy, the literally like lights getting shut off multiple times. I can't tell you how many candle parties we had as a little family where we turned it into a sleepover and we're going to light some candles. But I always knew that I was my faith has been everything to me. So just knowing that I wasn't given that vision for nothing. Like, I know that this is temporary. I guess prayer, I just recognize that now, is prayer was a big, this knowing, but I always knew that I can have that vision, but that I actually needed to do something, right? So it was like the solution was driven by my vision and my knowing that I deserve more. But it was like, nope, now you actually need to call and get help. You actually need to call your dad and say, hey, dad, I'm in this spot. Can you support me? Which I had never done before. It was like, hey, mom, my credit score is horrible. I don't even have enough to get an apartment. Do you trust me to be a cosigner? Or do you trust me enough to be a cosigner for this? And it was slowly but surely, like, recognizing that I didn't have to do it alone. So I really think coming out of hyper independence and feeling like I had to do it all by myself it's been a long while. I mean, I moved to Green Bay 7 years ago, and it was the first time that I was introduced to you and Kayla. And so like, it's been 7 years. And while there are still some things that come up and come through and happen, it's just like, I have a support system now that is just like, I just can't even rave about it enough. But I know that that's something that has to be built. And so I will say, from becoming a mom before I graduated high school to where I am now, I just turned 40 this last November, learning that support is the biggest thing for me, and that it's okay for me to depend on people, in a sense of like knowing that I can call them and say, hey, I need this, and knowing that they'll tell me if they don't have the capacity to do it. So it's like this really healthy just community that I have. And it's just, it's taken clearly a lot of years to build it. But now that I'm here, it's what I want for everybody. I want everybody to feel this seen and heard and loved and supported.
Yeah. And, I think it's so important to talk about where we've been and to share the stories of what we've been through. And thank you for sharing some of the keys for you, because So often, and especially today, gosh, people see the highlight reel, right? They go to social media, they see the highlight reel, or they see someone like you who is just this gorgeous powerhouse woman doing big things. And, maybe they're not in that place yet, right? And it can be defeating. And so I think it's important that we share like where we've been and what we've learned along the journey. I would love to hear for you, Miranda, like how, like going through some of those really big challenges and experiences, how does that shape your approach to what you do now?
Wow. So just to, like now with my clients or now with myself in my life?
Now, with your, however you want to answer it, I guess.
Um, it's really interesting now to be where I'm at now and actually look at those events, which I will say I am becoming more comfortable speaking about those things because I do often get, you have everything. And I was like, I had nothing. So like, I will say that I almost, I don't I don't necessarily, I guess, welcome the challenges now, but it's more so like my arms are open, like, okay, I get to be here. If I'm here, I know it's for a reason. If I'm here, I know it's because there's something here for me. And I think that that's really powerful instead of meeting it with resistance or like a, why is this happening to me? Even the posing that question, it's like, why is this happening to me? Almost excited about it, right? Like, what am I going to get from this
What's the
experience?
upgrade?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like almost exciting in a way. And so I think, but my nervous system is at a place where I'm able to ask those questions and able to kind of receive it with open arms of like, this is just like if something amazing were going to come into my life, right? Like, what is that? I ask the same questions. Oh, what is it? What's here for me, right? I ask the same question no matter what is brought to me. And I think that understanding that there's value in everything that comes to me, I think that that's something that's really supportive. Where I think back then in survival mode, it was like, okay, well, this is just one more thing. And it was almost like a bitterness towards having to learn something. Whereas now it's an acceptance of being given the opportunity to give something because I know it's going to bring me to where my new vision is. Right. So,
100%. Yeah.
yeah.
I talk about that all the time. And, like I call it soul assignments, right? We go through these soul assignments so that we can become more, so that we can have more, right? It's like, I love having the approach. And I know that some people are like, oh, I don't, it's like spiritual bypassing. But I think there's so much power in actually saying, no, wait, this is for me, rather than like you're saying, like you weren't a victim about it. It's just like, okay, this is for me and what's here for me. And I'm going to take the lesson and take the learning and get to the next place. And it's not easy to have. I mean, I can't always jump straight to that. Let me
Right.
be honest, right? I
Oh
mean,
no. Oh no. There's, yeah, there's some processing to get to that point sometimes.
absolutely.
But it's the acceptance then of like allowing yourself to feel that emotion though, right? Like it is like, I can say that, but like there has to be like, I will say this, there are all kinds of emotions that come with it. And just because it's received that way and these situations that come through and those soul assignments and like the challenges come through doesn't mean it's easy. It's not always easy to get through it. It is difficult and it can be heart wrenching and it can be draining and it can be even physically exhausting, right? But the idea is to go through it and not to bypass it, right? Just to go through it and like feel the feels and do the work. And I think that's really where the magic is because it's not just this blind, like, okay, I just have to get over this. No, I actually get to get through it because that's where the magic is in there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to talk just a little bit about what you do. So, energy healer, you do Reiki, and then there's hype woman as part of the title, coach is part of the title. So I know that you have this really unique approach with people, and I don't think we can like capture the essence in titles. It's just like trying to describe it in words is really difficult.
Yes. Yeah. I will say that one of my favorite testimonials ever was very short. It was like, she's just an experience. I don't know what else to say. And I was like, that is like the biggest honor, right? I mean, I guess like I love people. I love people. I love them so much that it's just such a gift, right? So energetically, I mean, there's all kinds of things happening, right? I can feel energy. Even in a Reiki session, I can channel certain things. All of the clairs, right? The clairsentient and clair, I have all of those. And so it's a lot of information. And so I think that for me, like approaching a session with a client or approaching a session with a group, for example, I led a goddess ceremony last night, and I cannot have a full itinerary because I get to actually feel the energy of who I'm in that room with, or just if it's just one-on-one, and that's where it comes from. So it's very intuitive. Of course, I've done trainings, right? I've done, life coaching trainings, holistic trainings, Reiki master, Akashic records, NLP, like all of these things. But I will say that the work that I do is like, there's this very sacred space that's created, and we get to just flow. And I actually think that that's the biggest thing. There's been often times where somebody will just come to me and I can put my hand on their shoulder and they'll just start crying. And they're like, I don't know why I'm crying. And it's like, because you're in a safe space, because you can actually relax and let your whole body relax. And I think that is probably the thing I'm most grateful for, is that people feel safe around me. Feel safe to be hyped up, feel safe to be like physically touched, feel safe to be held. And so it doesn't really matter what modality I'm in or what room I'm in. My main objective is to create a safe space for anybody I'm with.
I love that so much. And you do. I mean, I can attest to that. So, what are some of the things that your clients would come to you to work on? What would be, and I know you can work with quite a few different people, but like, what's common?
Sure. A lot of it is mostly people feeling stuck, like not sure who they are, not sure where to go, not sure what's next. Currently, I would say in the last like 6 months, there's actually a lot of people, I think, waking up that there's more, but they're kind of scared by it. They're like, I'm feeling things and I don't know what I'm feeling, but like this doesn't align for me anymore. But stuck in conditioning. Almost everybody I've worked with is stuck in some sort of conditioning, whether it's something somebody else told them, the world told them, they just grew up believing about themselves, or even about the world, or about the way that life is. And so really anybody who's just like feeling something that they need a change. And also like physically, I mean, I have Reiki clients come to me with kind of like injuries or sickness. Like I do have people come to me who are like feeling like coming past like an illness of some sort. Or I actually have had quite a few people come to me during their treatment for cancer. I actually have quite a few clients who come for that. It's just an additional form of healing, but it's really anybody who just is desiring and knows that there's more, or they're just feeling heavy and there's just a release that needs to happen, or a deeper connection with, like, most everybody knows. They know that there's more, and they know that they're capable, and they know that there's like life doesn't have to be just this mundane thing, but it's really having somebody in a space to ask them the right questions, or give them a space to actually feel it and get them excited about it. Because there's a lot of fear around change. So it's a lot of being like, it can be scary and that's okay. And you also still get to do it.
Yeah, I love that. Having support on the journey. And you mentioned something in the beginning, a lot of people who are going through like this awakening process. And, I think there's some belief out there that, if you go through something like a spiritual awakening or some sort of awakening process, that it's like rainbows and daisies. And my experience was not that. It was the exact opposite. It was like me sitting on the floor, sobbing my eyes out for weeks at a time, and just feeling like, what is happening to me? Right. It can be very confusing. And you do begin to see the world differently. It's like, okay, well, all these things I believed in that I thought before, I don't know now. Like, it just doesn't seem right. Right. And so you're just like stepping into this unknown space, and it can be very disorienting. So
I have one of my favorite things that happens, and almost with my coaching clients, is they're like, but I feel so much more. They're like, and I was like, because you're aware of so much more. Like, when you become aware of how you feel in certain situations, the the lack of this in your relationship with somebody else, like not getting what you need from certain places or people or thing. It's almost like I had a client a couple of weeks ago. She goes, I feel like, I feel like what is going on? And I was like, in what way? She goes, there's so much more happening. And I'm like, because you're aware of it. So like, I would also say like, because you're going through this and I mean, things start to come up, you clear the way and your vision and you're like, your ability to see the bigger picture and what's happening like in your space, but also so outside of you as well. It can be overwhelming. And so I will say that like, when you get to that point, I've never been so happier that my clients have somebody and that I see other people who are like receiving support, because it can feel like a lot, because like you said, oh, I had this awakening and people think it's rainbows and butterflies. But the more aware you become, the more you see and the more you feel and the more you're starting to understand. And then the more you know, the more questions you have. So
Absolutely. Yeah, so good. Thank you for sharing all of that. I want to talk a little bit more about you. So, one of the things that I didn't mention about you is that you mentioned it, I guess, in the beginning. You've been a part of our community for quite some time. I don't even know for how long. It's been a long while that we've gotten to get to know each other. And as you said, I think we first met maybe like 7 years ago. And so you're a part of our Elevate Mastermind now. You've been a part of the circle. I would love for you to share a little bit about kind of what this experience was for you, because I know a lot of people listening in might be considering like, I wonder, if this community is right for me. But I would love to hear your story. Like, kind of where were you before, and how did it support you to be where you are now?
I remember I told Kayla this story in Savannah, but I moved here and I actually have no idea how I started following you guys on social media. No idea. But I remember watching Kayla and I was triggered by her because I was like, she's just out here talking about money, talking about living her best life, talking about Tom doing things for her. And I was triggered enough to say, I want to learn. I want to know. I want to know how she's so excited about her life. And I want to know how she's so happy to talk about money. And then I got on a call with somebody. It was one of the coaches at the time that you guys had. And I manifested my first coaching client within 24 hours and got paid. And so like, and then it was tapping into you guys. I was in, man, it was a package because I wanted to be, I don't remember what it was called. It was an old program that you had. And it was all about business coaching and things like that. And then I got to meet you, right? Because we were all doing that together. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then what was for me was a connection was this is a mother and a daughter, and my mom in my relationship was not always in the best spot. And I was like, how beautiful that they're this example of two humans who happen to be mother and daughter talking about the things that I want to talk about, but that were some things that my mom instilled in me that I was like, didn't think that it was right. So it was kind of a lot. It was a very personal experience. So not only did I want to succeed in business and not only did I want the support, but the fact that I was triggered the way that I was and said yes because of it, I think is a really big deal, instead of being turned off by it. And it was more like, okay, this is hitting me. But then seeing you guys together, what hit me on a personal level of like, wow, there's so much healing I get to do. And so I know that the first step was me, like, let me actually figure out what I need to do first, because I know that's just going to bleed into other areas of my life. And the biggest thing was I knew two people when I came to Green Bay. That was it. And being in a community showed me how important a community was. And so since I've started with Rise, my community and my connection with people, not just here, but like where everybody who is a part of Rise is, has, I mean, when I talked about my support system, like you guys are part of my support system, and it's not just you and Kayla, it's everybody in who's associated with Rise. It's everybody in the Elevate Mastermind and the circle and anybody I've ever met through you. Like that is also my community and my support system. And so I have chills. I'm really going to get emotional, but you really, really showed me what it meant to be supported and seen, and also to be called out on my bullshit. And I needed that. Sometimes I think that because people see me as strong and whatever, like they don't feel like they can. And so it's really nice to be asked questions and to be challenged, and to know that I'm not afraid to be asked those questions, and to know that that I'm open to it. So that was also really big, because you taught me how to have hard conversations with other people and also myself. You've taught me how to be a better coach. Like this whole experience, I wouldn't be here today without saying yes 7 years ago to being part of the community. So I'm beyond grateful. And I think this is a wild moment right now that I'm on your podcast talking about it. So
I love it.
talk about like a full circle moment, right?
Yeah.
It's just really beautiful. So the impact that Rise has had on me, and not just my business, but my personal life and my relationships and my community, is just, it's beyond. There's no way to even measure it. And I'm so grateful.
Oh, me too. I'm so grateful. Thank you. We got to celebrate you so big on a call recently, and it was so fun. You came to this call like literally glowing, like just literally glowing. We're like, okay, Miranda, what is going on over there? Right. And I want to share this because it's just so well, it's powerful. And I saw the way that you inspired like every woman on that call. Like I saw it happening. I saw it happening in the chat. I saw what was happening after that call. And there was something really powerful you said. We had a conversation about alignment. Do you remember? It was kind of like you were talking about how the business has just like really popped out. I think you just had signed, like met your goal for clients signed, in a new relationship, like manifested time off from your other place of business that you work, and you were talking about alignment. So can you expand on that a
Oh
little
my
bit?
God. I'm like trying to think that I was in such a zone on that call. I was like,
Yeah.
I was such a channel. I don't even know if I was speaking, but
Well, I can tell you, and this will trigger for you. It was like the reason. It was just like you being you. It was alignment with you. I remember exactly what you said. You're just like, I am just so being my full self right now
yes, I mean,
that it's like instant.
wherever I go,
Yeah.
it's like, I like, it doesn't matter where I am. If something's like, especially the way that I talk about myself and promote myself, right? If I'm feeling something with this person, it may not be the same in this situation. And it is just always staying true to myself, because it kind of depends on the day where I'm at. It depends on the moment, right? It depends on, so like for me, honestly, in my life right now, if it is not aligned, if it is not a yes, if it doesn't feel good to speak about it, be in that place, I will leave. I'll also adjust. I mean, I think that, I go to networking events and it's like, tell us who you are. And sometimes it's like, I don't even want to talk about this other part of myself. Like, this is what I'm aligned with talking about right now, because this is what I feel called to do right now. This is the way I want to work with people right now. And maybe that will change, but like in those moments, wherever I'm at, it's whatever I feel aligned with, because that has led me to the clients. It's led me to doing the group work that I've done. It's led me to the projects that I sponsor and the women that I've met there, by only doing what feels aligned. And I don't think we give ourselves permission enough to be like, our alignment can change. It's not one set thing. Alignment is with ourselves. It's with where we're at. It's not like I only align with working with this type of people, because you may have somebody come in and you're like, oh no, like this feels really good. Imagine saying no to that. Ugh. Like, like, imagine saying no to something that feels really good, because this perceived thing that I can only be aligned with is what I'm holding to. So, yeah, I mean, it's just like wherever I go, I'm like, is this a yes? Is this what I want to talk about? Is this how I feel? Is this what I want to share? And if it's a yes, then that's what I do.
Yeah, and that's like the most powerful manifesting you can do, right? It's not necessarily that I love that you're not saying I just stand in the mirror all day and say affirmations over and over and everything comes to me. It's like, actually, I go through my day being who I am. I tune into what feels right for me. And when I do that, the clients come, the relationships, like what I'm needing in the moment is just happening.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, on a very personal level, that's exactly what happened. I met a man after 2.5 years. But what happened was I was out and having a glass of wine with a girlfriend, and we were not ready to go home. We were going to go to another place, but I pulled up And I was like, I know the owner. I was like, you want to go in? And she's like, yeah, because if we would have stayed focused on what we thought we were aligned with, I wouldn't have ended up there. And here we are, you know? So it was like, honestly, in any given moment, it doesn't have to be just business or whatever, but following the call of what feels right is just so important. It has never led me wrong. In fact, I don't even challenge it anymore. I'm like, oh, let me see if that is not a game I like to play anymore. If it feels good, I'm going for it.
I love it. I love it. Tell me, like, in your life now, today, like, what does it mean for you to live a yes life? Because you are someone who really embodies living a yes life. What does that mean to you?
Oh, I just more of this. What's in alignment with me right now is really telling my story. So my yes life right now is like, I know that my story can impact people, and it would be a disservice for me not to share my story and not to share my voice. So living my yes life right now is like, how do I get to use my voice to impact other people to take the step to living their yes life? And really just saying yes to things too. There are moments where, of course, I have to know the why, right? Like some logical steps, right? But for the most part, I'm honestly like, if something is like, I mean, I booked a cruise. I didn't know how I was going to pay for it. Now it's paid in full. I'm saying yes to possibly going on the other side of the world in August. I still don't know how that's going to happen, but I'm like, yeah, I'm like, that actually sounds great. I'm open to it. And there's
This just keeps, I know. I remember that with Savannah last year. You're like, I said yes, and the money just like arrived. Like literally, wasn't it like the next day or that same day or something?
yes. I was like, I'm saying yes. I don't even know how much it is, but I'm saying yes and whatever. And then that check came and I was like, here you go. Like, so I've proven to myself that I get to live that yes life, that I get to say yes to the things, and I get to say yes to the things that I really want and that feel aligned, because I know it's going to show up for me. And I've always been a risk taker, always. And it almost doesn't even feel risky now. It actually feels riskier to say no, because I know that there was something really magical there. So now the risk is in like, if it's a yes, I have to say yes. It's riskier to say no than it is. It's like a fun free fall of surrender, and I have faith when I say yes to things. Now it's like, yes.
I love it. I know you are like inspiring someone that needed to hear this exactly today, right now. I can just feel it. Tell me just a little bit about sort of the evolution of when things started really turning around for you to like where you are today. What's been kind of like maybe some key moments on your evolution to yes?
Yeah. I actually would say moving to Green Bay. It's 45 minutes away from where I moved. It required me to not have my son every other week. And that was the most difficult thing for me. It breaks my heart. Like it still is like going back to those moments of like, just because I, for the most part, have had my kids 24/7 since they were born. But saying yes, because I knew it's what was best for all three of us in the moment, even though it didn't feel that way. But now 7 years later, where he's like wildly successful, and my daughter, I still trusted myself back then. But it was a lot harder, I think, to accept the things that I knew that I needed to do. But that was a really big thing, to move away from that space and to do something on my own, and to say yes to what I knew was the betterment of my life and my kids' life. So that was one of the biggest yeses I've ever said to myself. And then I think starting my business and sticking with it. And while there's been ebbs and flows and ebbs and flows, a year and a half ago, I really stepped all the way in. I went and I got a corporate job, which I still have. But it's allowed my body to just relax a little bit. So I even think saying yes to that was a really big deal, knowing that everything is temporary. So like, I'm going to allow my nervous system to be relaxed for a little bit, knowing that there's some money coming in. Right. And I really love what I do. So like, I get to be with people all day. But like, it was a gift to myself. I thought it was a hindrance at first, and it was going to be this horrible thing. And it ended up being like, it's allowed me to breathe a little bit and give me some space so that I can really be present in my business, and I can actually really say yes to my business when I'm working on it. And that has been one of the most pivotal things, is Because I know that somebody that's listening right now is like, I don't want to have to do that. And I'm not saying that you do, but for me, it was one of those things where I'm like, I know that this is temporary and it's not a forever thing, but I do need to be able to be fully present in my business without worrying about all of these other things. And that income allowed me to do it. And that probably was one of the most pivotal. The saying yes to that was really transformational for me. And also showing myself that I'm badass and I'm doing both at the same time. So like, that's pretty cool. um, yeah. So, and then like where I'm at right now, it's just so great. Here I am on a Friday afternoon on a podcast after coming off with a coaching client, like
I
beautiful.
love it so much. Yes. And I'm so glad you shared that too, because I do talk to people a lot who are, a lot of our clients are entrepreneurs, not everyone, but many are. And that comes up a lot. It's almost like, well, if I have to go and get this other job, I feel like a failure. And I often say, oh, no, not at all. Right. Like actually allow yourself to be supported while you're building the business, because you can actually build without so much pressure on your shoulders. And I feel like it creates this opening. And there's a right and wrong for everybody. And of course, it's a personal choice, but often, it's definitely not a sign of failure. It's actually a sign that you are being fully supported,
Yes.
and just embrace it.
Yeah. That's absolutely what it was for me. Absolutely.
Mhm.
And yeah.
Yeah, and I've seen you be in the joy of it and embrace it, and like embrace that part of your life too. So you've never made it wrong or been resentful or have been angry that you're like working this other job. I've watched you do both with excitement for both, and I do think that is such a key too.
Yes. I mean, I get to show up as myself in both places. And I think that that's really exciting, right? Like, I feel really blessed in that way that I actually get to take who I am and I get to like just share that with no matter where I'm at. Again, showing up as my full self where I am, no matter where I am. And it feels really good. It feels really good. And I know that I made the choice, right? So accepting that I made the choice to get that is also what keeps me from being resentful, because I do have the choice to not do it anymore, right? Like that choice is still there as well. So knowing that I have these choices. So
Yeah, I love that. I'd love to just chat a little bit about sustaining the yes for you. So, like, how do you sustain, uh, you know, being in this space of now that you're here, living your yes life, you're juggling and managing a lot. I know we had a conversation. It's all good things, right? But at the beginning of this call, before we hit the record button, of just like, and it's a lot. It's a very full life, right? So, what are some of maybe the strategies you have for staying in alignment with yourself, staying strong and healthy? What would you say to that?
all right. So strategies of staying in alignment with myself. I I really enjoy time by myself. I really do. I may not get a lot of it, but I maximize the time that I do get. I think it's important for us to be able to spend time by ourselves. And it can be little things of like taking a bath. I say little things, but they're such big things for me. Taking a bath, going for a walk, being out in nature. I'm very particular with what I put in my body. I am a firm believer that staying in alignment with yourself requires you to be a clear channel. And so our physical body is what we've been given. And so the food that I feed myself, the supplements that I take, the amount of water that I drink, right? That is also a way that actually keeps me in alignment with myself, because I need a lot of energy for what I do. And I want to make sure that my cognitive self is not clouded. And that is so big with your health. So I'm a very big advocate of moving your body, feeding yourself. But also, like, I think spending time with people who bring me joy is probably no. I mean, I didn't do that for a very long time. I never made time. It was like, I just have to grind. I have to work. I have to do this. And it's like, now if somebody's like, do you want to go for a walk? Yes, I do. Do you want to go grab dinner? Yes. And it doesn't have to be this long extended thing, but being able to even have hour-long coffee dates with somebody, right? Just to meet up a friend and just talk and relax. Like that feels so good. I also really am big on my home and like moving things around. I feel like our home gets us most of the time. Like we're here a lot. We spend a lot of time. And so creating a space where I want to come back to, where it, like, I walk in the door and all of a sudden it's like, I am completely aligned with me, that it's a reflection of who I am, that it feels really good. Because the walls of our home hold so many of our memories and so many of our stories. And, I think a lot of us spend every single day holding so much space for other people, but our home holds our space for us. And so that's a way too. But all of it is just making sure things are clear, right? So envisioning things as well. And how do I want to feel in any given moment, right? And what is my intention going into anything? Is it, and just a clear intention of like, I just want to feel good in this moment. Because then I can go back to that, like, does this feel good? Is this conversation feeling good to me? Does this decision feel good? So when you get to the point where you're discerning if something really feels aligned, there's a very clear answer. So your complete environment inside and outside of you is a strategy, I would say. The life I live outside of everything else that I do for work is like, it's strategic in what I do.
Thank you for sharing that. I think you made a really important point, is that, when you're doing the things you need to do to care for yourself, however that might look for someone, right? Making sure their environment is right for them, and that their body is cared for, and all of the other things, it's like much easier to be clear on what's a yes and what's a no. When we're just like racing through life in this sort of like chaotic, storm, moving to the next, it's hard to know what's right and what's not. But when you're taking space, prioritizing joy, many of the things you mentioned, I agree. It's much easier to know, like, this is a yes, this is a no, and to have it be clear.
Yes. I think for me, the thing that I've learned is, while I'm a healer and while I'm all this, there's just healing in everyday life. Like, life is, I think sometimes we're so focused on the modalities, when it's like, actually just live your life. Like, have days where you don't, like, I mean, I don't every day sit down and write in my journal and do all these things. I don't do that every single day. Some days I get up and I just want to go outside, and then that's what I do. And that to me is like honoring what it is I'm feeling called to do. Right. I think, like, I did just make a post the other way, like, it's okay sometimes to set down the tools, right? And actually just be, because even the tools require you to do. So, like, what would it feel like to just be right now? What does that look like? And I think that there's so much healing in the joy, and there's so much healing in the eating the foods that are good for you. And there's so much healing, and even just like the desire to feel so good, like to be at home, like to want to go home is a beautiful thing. And so, like, all of those things are healing. And I think that's important, right? Like, life doesn't stop so we can heal. Life is healing. Life is healing us at every opportunity.
Oh, I love that. So, just two more questions for you as we wrap up here. I'd love to know, what is next for you. Like, what are you looking forward to? What's the next yes in your life?
Yes, I have missed doing more group work. So I am going to really be focusing on bringing people to my space, but also more virtual. I have people who've wanted to work kind of like all over the country, and I only do things virtually every once in a while. So my next big yes is to really dive into the virtual world so I can actually connect with more people. So more group things, more opportunities to work with me from afar, and not having to just be here with me physically. So I'm very excited to expand in that way. And my next big yes is, honestly, I am just saying yes to more experiencing life. I mean, going to Summerfest in a couple of weeks, haven't been there in 15 years, and taking more trips, and just really living a life of adventure. I really am saying yes to more adventure. I don't ever know where it's really going to bring me, but that's the exciting part, is I know when it's a yes for me, and I know when I'm going to be going someplace. So yes to more group stuff, and more yes to saying, like, let me get out of here and go do something fun.
Any final words that you want to share with everyone? Anything else that
Oh
you
man.
haven't said yet that you want to make sure you say?
I think I really just want to say, give yourself some grace, whoever's listening. Like, give yourself some grace. And it doesn't matter where you're at, or what your day has been, or what your week has been. There is always something to celebrate and be proud of. always something. And if you can remember that, and on your hardest days, you can find something to celebrate, because maybe it's just getting out of bed that day. And then maybe it's signing on a $5,000 client or a 20,000, right? Maybe it's getting up and actually drinking a glass of water, because that's something you said you wanted to do. Like, there's always something to celebrate, and there's always something to be proud of. And we give a lot of ourselves to other people, and we need to remember what we give to other people, that we really, really, really deserve that for ourselves.
Powerful. Thank you. Where can people find you if they want to connect with you? What's the best way?
Well, so social media, my Instagram is Miranda_Werkheiser, Miranda_WERKHEISER. Facebook is just Miranda Werkheiser. And then my website is easy. It's mirandawerkheiser.com. So, and all my information is on there as well. So if you just want to go straight to the website, there's links to my social media, my email, there's a connection page. So if you want to contact me, if you're interested, my services are on there. If you don't see something on there and you're curious about if it's something I do, just reach out to me, send me a form, and I'd be happy to set a call up.
Thank you. Thank you for spending time with us today, for just sharing your wisdom and your heart with us today. I absolutely know others are going to be inspired by you as well. So.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you for listening.
Yes. Okay. So if anyone wants to reach out to Miranda, she left her info here. And for those of you, if you like this episode, if you know someone that needs to hear it, please be sure to share it and to subscribe so you don't miss a future episode. The doors to the circle inside of Rise Leadership Circle are now open, and I wanted to take a moment just to tell you a little bit about it, because if you listen to this episode, you heard Miranda talk about the power of being in connection and how amazing this community at Rise Leadership Circle has been, and how much a part of our journey it has been. And if you're someone who's feeling like you want that support to step into living your most amazing yes life, and you want to do it with like-minded community around you, then this may be for you. In fact, before I got on the call today to record this podcast with Miranda, I just left from having coffee with a woman that I met through Miranda. Now, she doesn't live in the community that I live in here. However, she's a part of the circle. And during one of the breakout sessions on one of our calls, she met a couple of the women that live here in our local area. And mind you, we have women all across the United States and the UK, New Zealand. So we are a international community now. However, she happened to connect with some people, and she took a trip here. She took a trip to come and spend a few days with some of the women that she has met in the circle so that they could just have some dinner and some coffee. And I had the pleasure of connecting. And that's the type of friendships and community that you make inside of the circle. And more than that, right? We're here to really help you step into your version of a yes life. Our 12-month program includes opportunities for one-on-one coaching, group coaching, daily inspiration and pocket coaching that comes straight to your phone. And you get to, be a part of this wide level of support that is available for you. So if you'd like some more information about that, and all of this, by the way, that is available to you for the cost of your venti latte a day at Starbucks. We're just so proud to have created the circle and to make it accessible for so many people. So if you'd like to know more, you can click the link that I've included below in the show notes. You can always reach out and request more information from Kayla or myself. And if you liked this episode, please do like, share, subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.